Welcome back. You're watching the Hot 790 News. Thank you for staying with us. A verdict has been made in a 3-year-old case involving a Soufriere man, Siaga Edward Gillard, aged 30, who has been sentenced to death by legal injection in North Carolina for the shooting of 2 people, one of whom was a pregnant woman. The public has weighed in on the sentencing and has given their views about the trickle-down effect that occurs when St. Lucians commit crimes abroad. Solange Alfred reports.
On Monday, 4th of March, a death sentence was handed down to Siaga Gillard, a St. Lucia national residing in North Carolina. The death sentence had not been handed down since 2006 in the state of North Carolina. However, the unanimous jury decision was given as a result of Gillard's history of terrorizing sex workers and the murder of 2 individuals. The public has shared their opinion of that matter.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Bishop Anthony. You all know me, Dr. Anthony. I just want to say about the death they want to give that man that came from Soufriere, the death penalty, I believe North Carolina. In North Carolina, and they is going to give him the death penalty. I just want to say I'm praying for the family, and it is serious. They're giving him the death penalty, and he is a Lutheran. I just want to say it's very serious, St. Lucian, because that can affect us down here. It can, because we have an illusion on the death penalty right now in North Carolina. It is not a joke. It is not. But all we can do is pray. It can happen to anybody. It can happen to me. You understand? It can happen to anybody. And I just want to say to the government, I know you all are trying your best with the crime situation. Continue to do the best, just like the mayor doing a great job too with our city police, doing a fabulous job. All we can do is pray for the country and do the best we can.
Because tourism is the main part of the Caribbean. If it is not the tourism, a lot of the Caribbean people will be fall. So when they suspect that the Caribbean is lacking of law, they will slackly come in just now because of the attitude of they have personal prime ministers. They do not use the law as straight as they follow in parties. And that party system, it's time for it to ban.
It will bring a bad reputation on St. Lucia, because when the people overseas heard how the people in St. Lucia acting or reacting, excuse my English, so they wouldn't have the desire to come to St. Lucia. And that man that committed that act, he must first look unto Jesus. For he is the way, he is the truth, and he is the one that forgiving sin. He asks man not to commit sin. When you kill, that is a great crime in front of God. So what you have to do now, confess his sin to God, and God will forgive him.
The victims and family members of victims all testified in court against Gillard, painting a picture of a cruel individual. It was noted that Gillard's malicious ways warranted the toughest penalty after murdering 2 and causing the death of an unborn child, as well as 7 sexual assaults. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I am Solange Alfred.
Meanwhile, on the brighter side, former Senator and Minister for Sustainable Development Dr. James Fletcher has been selected by the Chevening Scholarship Program as one of 35 global change makers in commemoration of Chevening's 35th anniversary. A photography exhibition will be held under the theme Change Makers, 35 Visions of Global Leadership, and will be held in London from the 14th to the 17th of March.
Global leaders who are determined to overcome humanity's most pressing problems are featured in a photography exhibition opening in London's Soho showrooms from the 14th to the 17th of March. The exhibition, called Change Makers, 35 Visions of Global Leadership, will feature 35 specially commissioned portraits of UK-educated leaders taken by photographers from all over the world. The images will be accompanied by reflections on their time spent studying in the UK. St. Lucia's Dr. James Fletcher has been selected as one of the global change makers. He completed his doctorate at the University of Cambridge from 1988 to 1990 on a Chevening scholarship. He spoke to Hot 7 News on Tuesday about this latest accolade.
Someone from the High Commission got in touch with me and told me. I was quite surprised, elated. So that might have been somewhere around October of last year, I think, when I found out. And I was told to expect this and that they would be contacting me further, which they did. And then they asked me, well, one, whether I wanted to accept, which was the easiest decision I ever had to make. And then there were some interview questions, and then there were the specially commissioned portraits that had to be done, which I called on Cameron Brown to do because I'd worked with Cameron when I was in government, and I like Cameron's work. He seems to be able to hide all the flaws in my face, so I figured that would be the best person to work with, and so yeah, that was it.
But even more than being featured in the London exhibition, Dr. Fletcher says he is grateful for the opportunities that Chevening has made accessible to St. Lucians from all walks of life.
The Chevening program has been extremely useful to St. Lucia. There are a number of people who have been educated, who have received postgraduate opportunities because of Chevening. And I'm surprised every time I go there to see faces that I never knew were Chevening scholars. Even in my time, there are people who I did not know were Chevening scholars. And Chevening has had a very good reputation, or St. Lucia has had a very good reputation with Chevening. So it's been very good in training successively quite a few generations of scholars.
The Chevening Scholarship Program was established by the Foreign and Commonwealth Office in 1983 and has, over the course of 35 years, provided scholarships to over 50,000 people from over 160 countries around the world to pursue studies in the United Kingdom.
The Consumer Affairs Department joins the rest of the world in the month of March in recognition of World Consumer Rights Day. More in this report.
On March 15, consumer organizations in more than 100 countries across the globe will celebrate World Consumer Rights Day under the theme Trusted Smart Products. The theme intends to highlight what consumers want and need from a connected world and put them at the heart of the development of these digital products and services. Marvin St. Louis, Information Assistant at the Consumer Affairs Department, says consumer groups in St. Lucia will continue to raise the global awareness of consumer protection.
Whilst technology continues to advance and more smart products emerge, consumers are now getting access to new services, more responsive products, and greater convenience and choice. But on the other hand, consumers are also faced with concerns such as lack of security, privacy issues, and clarity as to who is responsible when those technologies fail us. Therefore, the Consumer Affairs Department is advocating those concerns on behalf of consumers in St. Lucia and joining other consumer groups around the world in raising their awareness on World Consumer Rights Day.
The department also seeks the assistance of the business community to participate in raising awareness of World Consumer Rights Day.
The Consumer Affairs Department and the National Consumers Association encourages large and small retailers, service providers, utility companies to show a sense of appreciation to the consumer in whatever way they can on World Consumer Rights Day. This could be in the form of a special sale, discounts on certain items, or a simple acknowledgement. But in whatever way we can, please let's show the appreciation to consumers on this special day. President John F. Kennedy on March 15, 1962, in a special message to Congress on protecting the consumer interests, recognized consumers as being the largest economic group in the economy, affecting and affected by every public and private economic decision, but yet the only important group in the economy whose views are not often heard.
The Government Information Service will host a live panel discussion on World Consumer Rights Day to highlight the opportunities and challenges for consumers using smart products. The live panel discussion will be broadcast on March 15 at 10 a.m. on the National Television Network. From the Ministry of Commerce, International Trade, Investment, Enterprise Development, and Consumer Affairs, I am Jacques Kingston Compton reporting.
Education managers air differences of opinions in an effort to strategize on innovative ways to move the sector into a new era. The 35th National Principals Association Conference served to facilitate engagement between policymakers, technocrats, and implementers. More in this report from Alicia Ali.
The National Principals Association is known for its passionate advocacy for the advancement of the education sector. The organization's 35th conference focused on the 21st century principle towards a solution-oriented approach. The organization was not shy in airing their grievances to the education minister who was present. NPA President Pauline Antoine Prosper acknowledged that leadership is sometimes tough and often quite lonely. She is of the view that principals, more often than not, are being sidelined from important developments in the sector.
I am also worried about the lack of support for principals at the school level to ensure that there is effective implementation of the initiatives. If we speak to standards for instruction, I believe that we should be articulating a revision of the school curriculum, national assessment, and teacher education as key components to the reform process. They cannot be done in isolation.
Minister for Education, Innovation, Gender Relations and Sustainable Development, the Honorable Dr. Gail Rigobert, reminded the NPA of her ministry's efforts outside of what she describes as, quote, the letter-provoked meetings, unquote. The minister meets with the NPA once a quarter throughout the academic year and has extended that courtesy to the district education officers and the St. Lucia Teachers Union. Further, the minister is adamant that decisions are taken after discussions with affected stakeholders.
I want to place on record my prefix to this was the evolving conversation. I have come to appreciate in this business that I must define consultation, I must define engagement, and I must always place my conversations with you in historical context to mark the genesis of the conversation and to relate it to the outcome.
Minister Rigobert appealed to the NPA to be fair in their assessment of anyone, regardless of party or personality, who occupies the chair of Education Minister. Lecturer at the University of the West Indies Mona campus, Dr. Canute Thomas was the guest speaker for the event. He said the onus is on the principals to propel themselves into this millennia by acquiring the requisite skills and qualifications in addition to work experience to be better school managers.
Schooling tends to be still based on the old paradigms of a head teacher who manages and instructs and directs and controls, rather than a person who sees himself or herself as a leader of experts, a facilitator of other leaders, and who invests himself or herself in helping those other leaders to flourish and to bring to bear on the agenda of the school their expertise.
The conference was held from the 28th of February to the 1st of March at the Coconut Bay Resort and Spa in Vieux Fort. From the Communications Unit in the Ministry of Education, Innovation, Gender Relations and Sustainable Development, I am Alicia Ali reporting.
Still to come, a former government minister who was in the past vehemently opposed to entering the fray of elected politics changes his mind.